Well, welcome. This is the third of our global lecture series, which is the brainchild of our global advisors. We have two groups of advisors, and I'll be looking for some of you who are here with us tonight in just a moment. But we are embarking on an additional journey. EPIcenter is an energy innovation hub created by four founding sponsors, OCI Solar being one of them, Itron, Landis & Gyr, and of course, CPS Energy. We have the opportunity to drive change in the energy industry from a little bit different position than, say, folks who are working in the industry and those who are using energy. We focus on a couple of different tracks. We look at energy from the idea of actually technological innovation, but we also look at energy from a thought leadership role. You're experiencing the latter tonight. We have a series of lecture series now. We have a summit that happens annually. Our next one will be June 19th. It'll be on electrification called, wait for it, Plug Me In, Smart, Connected, and Electrified. Don't you want to be there? But it'll be looking at electrification and what's happening in our society and across the world. And it'll be looking at it from your personal perspective. How does it affect me? How does it affect your community? And how does it affect your business as a business leader? So I hope when you begin, please follow us, like us, do all of those wonderful things on social media. You'll find us EPIcenter US. Tweet with us tonight, I hope you will. And you'll learn more about EPIcenter and what's coming up. We act as a convener, obviously bringing folks together in dialogue to talk about energy innovation. We also have, on the technology side, an incubator and accelerator focused on energy startups. We have, I know, and I've seen them here today. Do we have the gentleman from Go Smart Solar here? Where are guys? Wave at me. There you are. Yeah, they're right in the house. It's one of our 7 startups that we're working with currently. We have a couple of folks in the hopper. I'm sorry, my team is motioning. Is someone else here tonight? Oh, and Morton Gestalt, Anna's here tonight. Thank you for being here. Yay, there, I see them right there. The lights make it just a little bit difficult. And Vesta, oh, I love that Vesta came. Thank you for being here tonight. We are very excited because the technologies are disparate. They're looking at different applications, some literally software applications. Others are looking at business models. But we're working to really make a difference to move the needle in terms of energy innovation. I'd like to also recognize our board members who are here tonight. So Charles Kim is here from OCI Solar. There's Charles. Yay. Chris Euchster is our board chair of CPS Energy. And we have, of course, Paula Gold-Williams, who you'll hear from in a moment, our board treasurer. And where's Carolyn Shellman? There she is, right there. Carolyn, thank you. So we're thrilled. We have a board of 7, so I think we almost have a quorum tonight, right? So, absolutely. From our advisory council, I know Moat Barrett is here. Moat, where are you? So wave at me. There he is, way in the back. Thank you, Moat. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us tonight. And Bob, hello. Thank you for being here so much. Bob Worth. Thank you. I apologize. I didn't get word earlier. All right. We also want to thank you to our partner, Z-Prime. I love that this collaboration is coming on more and more. So Jason, thank you and your team. You've done a phenomenal job on our day, and we're excited about tomorrow. Thank you. So tonight, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Just give me a minute. You know, when you have 2 mayors in the house, you're in trouble. So I will stop at this moment. I hadn't forgotten, but I will stop at this moment. And of course, welcome you, Lord Mayor from Darmstadt. Thank you for being with us tonight. And in fact, the whole delegation from Darmstadt, if you have not had a chance to meet these delightful people, we've had so much fun. We had a great lunch yesterday, and you guys don't look too tired out from all the rigor that you've been through. And of course, our own mayor, Mayor Ron Nuremberg. Thank you for being here tonight. Woohoo! Yes, let's cheer. All right. Now, finally, we are streaming on YouTube tonight. So you have an opportunity. We'll be always posting the video after the fact, so if you want to share it with someone or you forgot a piece of it of our discussion you'd like to see again, please, you'll have an opportunity. We also, by the way, GLS2 that included Chris Euchster and the former Chief Strategy Officer from SEPA, we have posted, there were 40 questions that night that we couldn't get to. So we posted those questions online, so go take a look at EPIcenter US, you can enjoy that. And CPS Energy was nice enough to answer those questions. It was a lot of work, thank you. And then tonight, we will be taking questions on Slido. Slido.com, you can download the app, or you can go to slido.com, it's S-L-I-D-O, and you can post your questions there. But what I want you to do is vote those questions up. If you see a question you like and you want to make sure that I pose it, actually Jill will be asking the questions tonight, and you have an opportunity to vote them up in priority. All right, so will you do that for me? So make sure, and you can start at any time posting your questions. I want to say a big shout out and thank you to my team who are here. Y'all wave your hands. Many of them are wearing their shirts with EPIcenter on it. Thank you guys for an amazing job. And did y'all enjoy, anybody go on the tour today with Jill? Anybody? Yeah, good, thank you. All right, without further ado. So Tim, you want to join me again? And we will do the formal introductions.
Thank you. They told me I could read this, so stick with me here. So Kimberly, thank you. Utilities across the globe are engaging innovative technologies that affect the way their customers and communities will function in the future. Europe and the United States have approached these opportunities in a variety of ways. This event will compare and contrast the approaches of two globally recognized municipally owned utilities, one in Germany and the other in the United States here in San Antonio. In terms of smart city initiatives, renewables, and decarbonization, and mobility and transportation. So we'll be looking at all those this evening from the context of those two utilities. We're going to showcase a couple of short videos to introduce these two utilities and tonight's speaker. Thank you.
Ein bewusster und nachhaltiger Lebensstil ist mir wichtig. Das fängt im Kleinen an und überträgt sich dann automatisch auf andere Bereiche und eben auch auf meine tägliche Arbeit. Ich arbeite gerne mit erneuerbaren Energien. Das ist zukunftsträchtig und spiegelt die Ideologie wider, die ich trage.
Die klassischen Aufgaben von einem Energieversorger, Energie zu erzeugen und zu verteilen, die verändern sich. Und jetzt geht es darum, wie können wir als Integra in diesen neuen Welten, die entstehen, mitpartizipieren.
Ich wollte immer eine selbstbestimmte, eigenverantwortliche Arbeit machen. Ich habe Maschinenbau studiert, schon in der Fachrichtung erneuerbare Energien. Dass es so ein männerdominierter Bereich geworden ist, ist, glaube ich, damit zu erklären, dass ich technisch veranlagt bin. Deshalb arbeite ich sehr gerne für die Integra, die ja Vorreiter für Klimaschutz und Nachhaltigkeit ist und sogar 2013 mit dem Deutschen Nachhaltigkeitspreis ausgezeichnet wurde.
Wir als Energieversorger, wir müssen in anderen Angebotsformen denken. Wir müssen verstehen, dass wir ein Serviceanbieter sind, dass wir Partner für die Kunden sind. Und dann kann ich Kunden Impulse geben, über neue Dinge nachzudenken. Wir müssen unsere Mitarbeiter mit auf diese Reise nehmen. Wir müssen sie einladen, quer über alle Unternehmensbereiche hinweg, das, was sie an Wissen gesammelt haben, in die neue Welt einzubringen. Um dann aus den Gesprächen Ideen zu generieren, wo die Leute auf einmal sagen, das geht doch.
Ich finde es spannend, den Weg von Integra als Energieversorger zum modernen Lebensraummanager begleiten zu dürfen und meine Ideen einbringen zu können.
Der Schlüssel für den Erfolg der dezentralen Energiewende sind intelligente Verteilnetze.
Ökostrom wird künftig auch im Verkehrs- und im Heizungssektor die Energiewende vorantreiben.
Wir stellen heute bei Entega die Weichen für die Zukunft der Energieversorgung.
Entega steht für die Energie, Dinge anzupacken und zu einem besseren, weil einfacheren Leben zu führen.
Smart cities. The goal? Less pollution, more efficiency, and better operations. Here's how they work. A smart city uses sensors and networks to connect public and private assets, like traffic lights and security cameras. All that data is collected, aggregated, and analyzed with the hope of reducing costs, increasing safety, and helping the city better manage itself. Enter CPS Energy, a power company in San Antonio, Texas. The company has over 1 million electric and natural gas customers, and their combined energy bills are among the lowest in the country's 20 largest cities. Imagine this. You go on vacation, your thermostat knows you're not home, and adjusts the temperature, lighting, and your water pump. That helps you save money. CPS Energy wants to reduce demand for electricity by 771 megawatts by 2020. Here are some ways it's doing it. Residential and business customers earn rebates for conserving energy and by making their homes and offices more energy efficient. The power industry is expected to be the most disrupted in the next decade, and CPS Energy wants to help lead that charge. As new technologies emerge, the company is prudently incorporating them into its diverse and dynamic power generation portfolio. Our flexible path is all about balancing the tried and true with the new. CPS Energy, a smart company for a smart city.
And the Oscar goes to? No, it's an honor to be able to introduce our speakers this evening. So first, please help me welcome tonight's speakers to the stage. Dr. Marie Wolf from Entega, CEO of Entega. Paula Gold-Williams, President and CEO of CPS. And again, Kimberly Britton. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Well, I have been looking forward to this immensely.
Me too.
Good. Well, then we're in the right place. This is good. We have a lot of ground to cover tonight, and as I was beginning to work on our discussion tonight, I was on SC to DC, our trip recently that the Chambers of Commerce, several leaders went to DC to talk to our legislators right after the shutdown the business had reopened, shall we say. And so I had an opportunity, I had a day where I didn't have meetings, and I spent the day making a deep dive into the German utility sector and also comparing it to the US. I had so much fun, but then I'm odd like that. So, but it's been really quite fascinating, and I learned a lot of things. One, that these two utilities actually have a lot more in common sometimes than you might think. So I'd like to share a few things that they do have in common. One, they're both municipally owned utilities. Both have made significant commitments to renewables as a part of their portfolios. Yes. And now, while their detractors may differ somewhat, both of their countries, the US and Germany, are facing pressures to eliminate dependence on coal. Both are in regions with aspirations to be smart regions or smart cities, and both are grappling and with developing and implementing strategies around electric vehicles. So you have a lot to talk about. So let's talk first, if we might, about unwinding coal. So let me tell you a little bit about Germany, in case you didn't know, one of the things that I learned in my studies. is that Germany, in its power mix, gen mix, is 34% provided by coal. And recently, the German Coal Exit Commission just published its findings near the 1st of February. And it included a mandate on their part to end the use of coal as an energy source by 2038. A very ambitious goal, when more than a third of your power generation mix is dependent upon that substance. And in the U.S., while the administration is favorable toward the coal industry, coal power generation is declining. And in fact, and I was amazed at this, it dropped from 48% in 2008 to just 28% in 2018. So this question is for Marie. It said, I understand, I know that you are not dependent on coal, the very high mix of renewables, but your country continues to be.
Yes.
And as a leader in this sector, because I know you also had an organization of which you're chair, so what are the next steps now that the Coal Exit Commission has published its findings in light of the Commission's report? How on earth will Germany achieve this 2038 deadline when such a large portion of your current generating capacity is dependent on coal? Share with us.
Okay, I try to answer this. First of all, it's even more complicated because we are phasing out of nuclear energy at the same time.
Yes.
So nuclear will phase out in 2022. We decided that in 2011, after the Fukushima accident, to phase out. But what is a little bit alleviating this whole story is that from 2011 on, the government began heavily subsidizing renewables. So at the moment, since these 18 years, we have oversupply in Germany. Because we had the old generation park, you know, with coal, nuclear, gas, and so on. And then we built all the renewables, so we had oversupply. So now we are taking off the oversupply in the first years. And then after a while, it will get very hard. So what the Coal Coalition Commission decided, we will have 3 phases of phase out for coal. The first phase is up to the year 2022. So in 3 years, we will cut off 45%, so almost half. And at the same time, the nuclear will go out. So then after that, next phase is up to 2030. Second phase, we will go out with 60% of the coal. And then the rest we will do in the next 5 to 8 years, 35 to 38. So how we will do that? As I said, we have some oversupply, but after the year 2022, the oversupply will be gone. So from then on, we will have to build a lot more renewables, almost double, and we will have to build a lot more gas power stations, power generation. And for that, we haven't solved all these problems because we will be heavily dependent on the price. You know, the utilities will not invest if the prices are as low as they are today. So on the one hand, we hope the prices will go up so that we all invest. On the other hand, if the prices go up, and Paula knows that, we have discussed that, big industry will start whining.
They don't do that, do they?
No, they will.
Doesn't happen in San Antonio.
We have to do something on the prices. And the third thing we have to do, I think you in the US are more used to power shortages than we are because we had this oversupply. So we don't have so sophisticated reserve mechanisms, capacity mechanisms. You are better than we are in that respect, so we have to work on that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Paula.
Now it's coming to me.
It's coming over to
All
you.
right. It's not as smooth, right, as I could say.
Well, you recently had some big changes in
We
regard
did,
to
we
coal. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and the thinking that went into that decision? And then also, if you'll kind of look at 15 years ahead, so talk to us about what coal looks like then for us.
Okay. So, you know, if I would take everybody back to probably 2008, 2007, and we were experiencing a tremendous amount of growth. Coal did not necessarily have the reputation that it has today. It wasn't great, and there was a lot of focus on making environmental improvements on coal, but we at the time decided to invest in some new coal plants. And it is the reliability issue that is an issue for us. We have an oversupply, CPS Energy, but still our community is very used to being oversupplied, getting the lowest cost generation in the stack, and then we sell the excess. When we sell the excess, it reduces the cost burden on existing customers. So we were trying to, think about all this. What we really thought about, though, is we had much older coal units in our portfolio. And we were trying to figure out, should we put those environmental improvements on those units? And it ranged at first from a couple of $100 million, and then it got above $500 million. And we started thinking about $500 million on these environmental improvements. And back then, there was so much confusion in terms of cap and trade and trying to create a tax, and nobody in the United States likes taxes. So we hate taxes as a nation. And so trying to get people to pay another tax on energy and navigate through all of the emissions regulation, we just looked at it, and we thought that it was much more important for us to start moving, though, away from fossil as much as we could. And we made a commitment, specifically by 2012, we made the commitment that we were going to close 2 older coal units down. And here's the thing that always happens. So like you have this great car, it gets really old, you have to keep repairing it, and you think, I think I'm going to get rid of the car. But then what happened in 28, we didn't put a lot of repair on it, and it ran really good. The dealer units ran, they made a ton of money in the market, and they help reliability. We comprise 7% of the load, but we almost make up almost 20% of the reserve margin. So we help reliability, we help keep costs down, and we help defray the costs in the community. But we closed them because as we took inventory, we were going to have to put more repair and more maintenance, and we'd already made the commitment to get away from that type of generation. They didn't have scrubbers on them, they didn't have SCRs, they didn't have anything on them. So that was our journey to get there. Some people, have asked me, as if it was a definitive point in time. What happens in generating units, they do last a long time. So you plan for them. Yeah. You get all your permits, you construct them, you take care of them, you maintain them, you run them well, and they all have a tail. It takes you a long time to get out of these, get it, and make sure, again, when you're municipally owned, these assets are in fact owned by the community. We just get to manage them. I am very impressed with the commitment that I see in Germany from what our equivalent would be from the federal, state, and local level. Here we have other development. So making decisions with policy alignment. Yes, sir, Lord Mayor, you're exactly right. It's still controversial here, and trying to get alignment all the way through every aspect of not just your government, but society is what really makes a challenge here. Now, what does it look like 15 years from now? I don't know exactly. I know that the tolerance for coal is pretty much hitting a feverish pitch across the nation for us. And so I generally think we will have much less coal in the long run. But right now in San Antonio, the mayor and Councilwoman Sandoval in particular and our council have put a straw, kind of like what I call a proposal on the table to be a lot more definitive about what the future could look like. I think that's right to put that in front of our community. I think if you don't put something on the table to look at and assess and put all the pros and cons, you never get to your solution set. And I think now that we put it on the table, we're going to start moving into the pros and cons of how to get to where we want to be. So I think, for us, we still do have 2 coal units. They are aging out. They will age out. We have one, though, that is not that old. We put it in place in 2010. But what we tell the community is renewables and energy storage are the key to change everything. It was really kind of funny because I watched the video up there, right, and it said, the energy industry is being disrupted, and CPS Energy can't wait to be disrupted. That sounded suspect, because who in the world wants to be disrupted? Because the implication of disruption means that you're not exactly prepared for that change. And that's the part that worries us the most. How prepared will we be? So we're continuing to expand the renewables. We have over 1,000 megawatts of wind, over 500 megawatts of solar, and growing. We're investing in energy storage. We think that's the place to be. We believe prices will come down, and we think that this evolution will occur. The issue is how fast will the standardization of energy storage occur? That's the disruptor in a good and a very challenging way.
Did you have another comment?
One addition to that. You know what? We were very thankful to our government that they made up this plan with us, because it saves us from disruption, because we have a plan. We have a plan now for 18 years. We can decide what renewable capacity we need when, who wants to invest, and then that's sort of something else. That's not disruption. We have a plan and we can work on it. So we are actually relieved, because in our country we were discussing for 5 years about coal. And we had demonstrations, and we had a lot of fierce discussion about that, and that is finished now. So actually we are quite happy.
So you have a path forward.
Well, I feel like we're right at that foothill of the conversation. So it's good to watch that you've been able to get through that. So we
But I have to add, our power companies who have coal plants, they get remunerated. We don't stop them without money.
Okay, now let's stop this program. let us define what remuneration means.
Yes.
That is a financial term, and actually accountants really get into remuneration. It means that if you work, you get paid for that work. And so what she just talked about is the government and society in Germany have decided that they were going to pay for that cost of transition and disruption.
Right.
The biggest challenge we have here is that energy prices are fairly low. If we were in a market where energy prices were high, then you could just put up energy storage and everybody would do it. But in fact, because our energy prices are low, particularly in San Antonio, particularly in the state of Texas, remuneration means we would pay a premium for energy. Energy would be at this level, but the community would be willing to pay at this level for energy. And the only other thing, I'm sorry, I'm so focused on this argument, because all day long we've been talking about all different things that come up. We worry at CPS Energy about the implication to the members of our community that are most challenged with it. Now, if we all agree what the path is, and we all think about how to create the affordability, then we can really make this transition work.
Yeah, you have to think about
that's
what to do with the people who cannot pay these prices.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I want to make sure we get to a couple of other topics.
Oh, I can stay on this all day
I
long.
know. Well, it's really important. I get it. But I want to talk about let's talk about smart cities, because we've been talking about smart cities all day long. And I always want to go, a smart city according to whom, right? Is it what interpretation and what plan? So it means many things to many people. And I've seen utilities and municipalities. We were at a conference in Reno recently, and they call under their smart cities umbrella every project from EV charging, smart lighting, air quality, digital messaging kiosk, and much more, right? Not to mention the smart grid, smart meters, et cetera. So this is for you both. It says, how do you and your utility define a smart city? What activities have you undertaken to date, and what future plans do you have to build out in your own market over the next 5 years?
Well, some people have heard from me a little bit, so why don't we start
I
with
think that's a good
my good friend.
So I take my notes now.
You said you had cards. So yes.
We have to distinguish between what does the city understand, what they think is smart city, and what a utility can do for it. These are, I think, two different sides of a coin. So for the city, from what I guess and know, is that they have three main areas that they want to concentrate on. First area is clean mobility and clean environment, energy being a part of clean environment. Second area is digital services for society, and that's including administration, services for people who go to the Lord Mayor's office, education, health, security. That's society. And the third area is strengthening of the economy and the research institutions we have. That's cybersecurity and other things. So, and underlying this in Darmstadt is a very strong ethical code that we have, or Lord Mayor has worked on for a long time with a lot of citizens that were part of this whole organization of the smart city. And there we have some ethical values that are most important. So everything we do with all these smart city activities should make the city more valuable, should make the citizenship more cohesive, more sustainable, and more secure. And I think this is very valuable because you think, if you think about messaging systems, and then you say, you consider, is this more valuable? Is this more cohesive? It helps, it helps to decide. And I think this is more and more important today when we can do a lot of things. But what really helps us and what do we want to do? So from this, I will turn to what can Antigua do for the smart city, and that's only a part, of course. So we are engaged in mobility. We are building charging stations since a few years in Darmstadt and the surroundings. We are thinking about storing capacity for charging because we know we have a very old central part of the city where you have a lot of big apartment houses, old houses. So you have to do fast charging there. You have to look for places where you have a big charging station for 10, 15 cars, and there we need storage. Or we need to somehow enlarge our grid. Then we are just now building a charging station for buses in the city. The city will buy now, in the next months, 80 electric buses. And they are going up to 100 and 120 buses. We already have a tram system, we are electric already, but we also have some diesel buses that we want to get rid of. So we are building quite a big charging station. And we do efficiency charging for the buses. They will go, all the 100 buses will go there at night and charge. So we want to find a system that charges them one after another, because otherwise we have to build a power plant next to the bus station.
So it would be counterproductive.
Yeah. So then also in the field of mobility, we are helping the city liquefying traffic with generating data. We saw it in your film. That's more or less mobility. Then we are working in the telecom field. We are starting to build a fiber optic network in parts of Darmstadt and the region. That is a project of 10 years. You know, that's a real long project. And it's a lot of money we put in. We've talked about it. And we do it underground.
No micro trenching.
No.
Yeah.
Then we are building a radio network for IoT activities, which is much cheaper than to do it on 5G or 3G or whatever mobile standard you have. So we are finished with building that in the city of Darmstadt, and now we are doing the surroundings. And we use that for smart waste management. You know, our waste cars go for containers that are full. You know, they make their route plans in a different way in the future. We use it for smart parking. We use it for a lot of track and trace activities. For example, we have this big company, Merck. We have been talking about this. Big pharmaceutical and chemical company. And they asked us, you know, you are building this radio network. We have to find something to track our containers and our machines. So we are now putting sensors on all the containers and all the machines, and you can track them with our radio network. The same we are planning to do with our big city clinic, because they are searching for beds, for special machines they have in the clinic. So we also are putting sensors in the clinic on certain devices they have. So this is for IoT things, activities we are working on. And then, last but not least, we are working in the field of energy. And there, our main activity will be to change heat supply. You know, our peak is winter. For you, it's summer. For us, it's winter, because we need heating. At the moment, we are heating a lot with gas, individual heating and also district heating. And we want to slowly change it to more renewable heating. That will also be 10, 15 and more years. Because you do that when you build new, or when you renovate, or when you do a new district solution. And there we have a lot of ideas, from geothermal up to we mix some biogas into the gas infrastructure. There are a lot of ideas in Germany right now. So heat is the third activity.
Okay, so some similarities. For us, we have a special relationship with our owner, the City of San Antonio, and other municipal entities. But maybe I'll talk a little bit in reverse and talk about CPS Energy, kind of how we thought about this. For us, we thought one of the most important things that we could do was to switch out the meters. And so we completed a change from analog to digital meters last summer. And this is really critical in the energy sector, because many other industries have done this switch out to digital a long time ago. I actually spent years in the cable industry, and cable went digital many, many years ago. But for us, not being able to have the ability to take in data and monitor how customers are using the flow of energy, and helping actually give that information back to a customer. That's actually even more important. If we could let a customer look at their own usage and let them benchmark how they use energy on their street, or to some, you know, the neighbors on the street, or in the neighborhood or their region of town, we realized that being able to talk to someone about conservation didn't really have much foundation on it, didn't mean a whole lot. So we went ahead and made the commitment to change the meters, which was huge. And one of our partners, which is also part of the EPIcenter partnership, Actually, Itron and Landis & Gear helped us come up with a metering solution that we think created a huge foundation for us to be using technology and data and analytics and really starting to move into giving customers better information and then being better at recognizing issues before they actually appear to a customer. It used to be the only way that we knew there was an outage with an analog system is you call. But now we can see exactly where the issue is. We can pinpoint the outage. We can get people to your location. And we're even getting to the point where we can tell that your energy is off, and we can call you just to make sure that you know that there's an outage in your area. And that kind of pops up when people go on vacation and they don't know that they've had an outage. Now we can do a whole lot more to work with people, and we think that's a foundation. One of the challenges we have is we are keeping that network very, very secure. And so that data and the data we ultimately want to optimize across the spectrum and work in our partnership, but we're keeping the network and all of the activity very, very secure because that's the gateway to the grid. And that's the gateway that you have to protect even more. And so we have a chief security officer. He does a lot of other stuff, but he spends a lot of time, he and his team, expanding their efforts to be more and more diligent and make every single employee more and more diligent about their use of our technologies. In turn, we're partnered with the mayor and the city manager and all the things that happen at the city of San Antonio because we don't have really a vantage point to look at garbage pickup. We actually bill for the service as a courtesy, but the better experts for garbage pickup, and we had our city manager here talking about being able to use technology so you can reroute the pickup of garbage in a way that is much more efficient and using sensors for that. So what we're actually having is every member of our municipal network, our partnership, is finding those solutions and really being able to kind of pull them together. So we have like multiple networks happening. We have the River Authority, we have the transportation company, a county does a bit with us, the water company, which is a sister company of ours. And so now we're finding those ways to look at technology and optimize them, not necessarily connecting the systems for security purposes, but at least starting to think about the data from that purpose. And maybe just a couple of other examples that I'll add to Marie's commentary. When we think about smart city, we think about putting out technology that helps people live more comfortably and being able to control technology in a way that it responds to you, how you want to live. It's not, you're not having to program things. It is the use of light. Lights will cut off if there's nobody in the room. That sounds like old technology, but what if your city did that? What if your lights really, if there was no dog or person, you didn't consume energy, it would just be dark skies. But the moment it saw a dog, the moment it saw people walking dogs, the moment it saw people congregating in the municipal plaza and they were, enjoying the light show, it would pull up the right amount of light to encourage the movement and the feel of the community. And so we have been working with Green Star on some of the lighting solutions and Itron and trying to find sensors and other activities based sensor technology to help it respond. And we think a smart city responds to people.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Before you add your comment, I just want to remind you about Slido, and I forgot to give you the hashtag so you can get in there and submit your questions. It's hashtag GLS, so I wanted to let you know. We've got a little bit of a time check here, so we want to allow some time for those questions, but I'd love for us, Marie, go ahead and make your comment, and then we're going to talk deeper about EVs, so let's do that.
Right. We have been starting to install digital meters as well, but we only do it for people who consume more than 10,000 kilowatt hours. Because below that, it's an investment. I don't know if you charge your customers for this meter.
Yes,
we are not allowed to charge people. So we install it for the higher consumption rates. And for the lower consumption rates, we fear that the difference will not be really that big, because we don't have a big volatility in our prices. So we have more or less stable prices for the end consumer. So then for us, it's not a business.
Gotcha.
But we are working with Landis & Gyr also.
Yes.
So with your sponsor. We know them.
Good. Good.
And we are
Small world.
experimenting also with the lighting.
With the
this
lighting.
yeah. Same
So
thing.
I'm so sorry. So let's talk a little bit about electrification, transportation, and mobility. And let's do that for about 5 minutes, and then if it's okay with you, we'll start taking some Q&A. So I hope you're submitting and voting up now. So in both Germany and the US, electric consumption is essentially flat from what I'm seeing in the statistics. But I know that a lot of utilities have seen EVs as the great hope in terms of additional revenue and an ability for additional consumption. So, but it does seem that everyone knows that there's a wave of demand coming, and they're grappling with how do we build out our infrastructure that will serve the needs of our customers, and also how are we going to pay for all of this as well, and who's going to own it. So let's talk a little bit about that. So Marie, I think that we perceive that Germany is significantly ahead of us in the US in terms of electrification and mobility. And then maybe she's like, nah, maybe so, maybe not. So talk to us a little bit more about what the status of electrification and transportation is as far as Intega's services in your territory, and what are your plans for the future for the demand?
Okay, how is the status in Germany? It's not so much better than here, not so much more advanced. We have about 100,000 electric vehicles in the country, and we have 55 million cars. So that's like this. It's very little. Yeah. We have built 240 charging stations. We are not earning money on that. There is 4 customers a day. You don't earn a penny on that. So we have been running forward for the wave of electric vehicles. But actually, I have been reading about the auto industry, the car industry, in the last weeks and months. And you know, when cars were introduced, it took 50 years, 50 years
That's right.
for people to move on, to buy a car. So expectation on disruptive industries, it's sort of modern, but it might not happen. It might take a longer time because we have to build a totally new infrastructure. Charging stations and fast charging stations are expensive. So we have to install a new infrastructure for the whole country, and that will take time. And also people will need time to adapt to this. Yeah, you have a limited range with your car. You need to adapt to this. Or they need to find other batteries, that can have wider range. So I think it will need time, it will need research on the batteries, and they will have to get cheaper. I was talking to a manager of the car industry the other week in Berlin, and he said he thinks in 6-8 years we will have much cheaper batteries, but until then the cars will be extremely expensive. The most expensive thing on an EV is the battery. I cannot imagine that a majority of people will buy cars for 100,000 euro. And the car industry, they know that they cannot make the cars cheaper if the battery is that expensive. So what they are putting out is hugely expensive cars. The EQ from Audi is, again, 100,000. Who can buy this? So I think we need more time, and we need a little bit of research on this. For batteries, also for charging, I think the charging systems should be much, much faster. You cannot expect that someone on a trip to Munich, which takes him with the car 4 hours, has to charge and wait for an hour. I mean, this is terrible. So we need more research, more progress, and it needs time.
Well, I agree with all of that. For comparison, in San Antonio in particular, we have put in about 150 charging stations, not making a lot of money. They don't have the volume on them now. We received DOE money that helped us do it. Very interesting. If you look at a gas station, if you think about a gas station in your neighborhood where you grew up, that gas station more than likely is still there, and it's probably the same pumps. Maybe you can change out the nozzle. Maybe it's gone to you don't have leaded gas anymore. You've seen some evolution, but the infrastructure is pretty well unchanged. In the 7 to 8 years that we've had our charging stations, it is now time to replace them all. The technology has moved that fast, but the adoption rate for EVs has not grown that fast. We still believe that more charging stations are necessary, and Electrify America just put in some investment in San Antonio, and there's much more to come. So we think that's important for the range anxiety reduction, for more infrastructure. CPS Energy is not positioning itself to be a charging station company, though. We think that private investment in the charging station arena is very important. What we would be able to do is give a third party more information about the best places to get the best distribution of energy, the most efficient, and then ultimately combine that with potential traffic flow information and other information about who's charging stations in the neighborhood, and maybe that will be the best place to put a fast charging station. So we look at it as a way to create a public-private partnership. We are looking forward to working with our owner to really try to attract more investment in the charging station arena. More to come on that, but still, I believe it's going to take a while. We have tens of thousands of charging stations in gas stations in small regions. For it to be replaced by electric charging stations is going to take time.
Indeed. So, Jill, are you ready with some questions for us?
Oh.
All right. Let's make sure Jill's mic's on.
Is Jill's mic's on?
Yes.
Jill's mic is on, yes.
Thank you.
So here in San Antonio, we have more and more people adopting solar panels on their homes. And we don't know and would like to hear about what you're seeing in Germany, if that's an option for your customers, and how does that tie into your strategies for future generation?
Rooftop solar, you mean? Yeah. We have a lot. We have, I think, around 10,000 rooftop solars. And what is new to us is that since a few years, people are buying storage facility with the rooftop solar. That's a new development. 5-6 years ago, we didn't sell storage. Now they buy storage. The subsidies have been cut, so we expect it will go down a little bit. But still, I mean, it has to do with where, in which direction is my roof, how many square meters do I have. But for a lot of people, it's a good opportunity to reduce their bills.
We have been in a concerted effort to try to do more what we call DG, rooftop solar, or community solar. We've tried multiple different models, and we still are. We're reaching success. One of our worries, again, is equity. And so we want to have solutions where you don't necessarily have to pay for the system. Because when you have to pay for the system, even with our rebates, you're still spending a large amount of money to put something on a home. There's also challenges if a person's renting a home. And so we've tried to get past all of that. We let a landlord put it on for a property that they're renting. We actually have partnerships where, and one of our vendors is here, or was earlier. Very good. So we have a partner that has helped us find a way to actually, they put the investment on the home. The owner doesn't do any of that. They get a credit back. We pay for the power, so they're there to help us keep expanding it. So we're adding more and more megawatts from that perspective. So you will see us put more and more product out there in the future. The challenge is the price of renewables and solar is going down, so the rebate number goes down, and that starts to cause little drags on the amount of penetration that we can get. So, but we will keep it up. We will keep it up.
I have a remark to this. What is very interesting for us in Germany, we're offering for the customer, you can buy your rooftop solar or you can lease it. We will help you. You can lease it from us. And in Germany, much more than 90% said, no, we want to buy it.
Interesting.
It's our house, we want to buy it.
That's really interesting.
Here we have a mix.
Yeah. But the people live 30 years in their house in Germany or more. So probably that's different to the United States.
You have a mix of that here.
Yeah.
All right, Jill.
Y'all have both touched on battery issues and the challenge of getting them affordable enough. Do you want to add anything to that conversation? Because there's a very popular question about, can you speak to storage options regarding batteries?
I think what I would say is that, we study energy storage around the globe. We talk to researchers and inventors and different companies, but it's early on. What we find is there are many different types of experimentation. There's not one breakthrough technology other than lithium. Lithium does work. It's helpful, but it's still not super cheap. And so we think there needs to be a whole lot more focus on it. But I'll add one other thing. The challenge with the technology is not that whether it works. The challenge is the duration on the battery. How long can that battery store and discharge that power to you? In some cases, let's say that they can go a day. Or a lot of times they can only go in hours in increments.
Maximum a day.
Yeah, maximum a day. And so you got to put multiple panels in your house. And then I always say that when people say they want to disconnect from the grid, you got to have a backup to the backup from that standpoint. And it isn't as easy to do. So there still needs to be a whole lot more to make sure that the durations are long enough to help you during storms that last for a long period. And if you really think about the aspect of global warming and more storms and things like that can happen, the extended amount of weather pattern issues you can get means you really want duration. So it's not there yet, and from what we see, but we keep looking and encouraging researchers to keep focusing on it.
I would totally agree. I think lithium-ion is, for us, it's too expensive at the moment, and the duration is not long enough. What we have good experiences in Germany is thermal storage, like a very, very big water tank that you heat with surplus energy. That we can do, but that's a very old system, but it works, It's a technology that works.
Definitely.
We have a bit of thermal, but they are big systems and they're not cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
One more kind of fun question. With those cities that are hundreds of years old, what initiatives are in place to make older homes more energy efficient?
How old is Darmstadt?
Oh, wow.
Older than us.
I don't know.
Much older, yes?
Older than San Antonio. Mr.
Yes.
Kormer, how old is Darmstadt? How many 100 years?
1,330. Okay, I'll let you take this one.
A little bit. Do y'all feel really new right now?
We do. We feel like a young
700 something.
Yes.
Wow.
So but we don't have houses that are 700 years old, but a lot that are sort of 100 years old. So what can we do? Actually, for districts with old houses, we have some in Darmstadt. We have done a lot with new district heating. As I told you, I mean, our peak is winter. And there we can do a lot with new district heating systems for a whole district. And that saves a lot of energy for heating. For the single home, I mean, it's actually that's a problem in Germany because people are getting so old. They are getting 60 and 70, and you talk to them about a new heating system, and they say, you know, I'm so old. No. So that's, I don't know how to overcome this. With district, it's more easy than with single owners.
I could see that. Well, do you do anything in terms of weatherization or helping their home to become more efficient?
Insulation.
Yeah, insulation. Things to keep the air from coming in.
Yeah. We have had a huge wave of installation mania. Mania in Germany. And we always thought, you know, I mean, insulation is much more costly than a new heating system. But they prefer insulation up to now. So it takes longer to install new heating systems, although it would save more energy than insulation.
I think this is a big issue for us, for individuals and for businesses. It will take a lot to refurbish older buildings, and I think we're going to have to put a lot of our resources together and think about a plan of effectiveness to make this happen.
District-wise, that is
maybe district. I mean, for us, districts have a lot of complexity. They end up having homes and businesses and big businesses and all different types of things. We are what we call brown. We have a brownfield site where we're making a new headquarters. Not too far from our existing location, but the amount of effort, we basically stripped that thing down to its studs and are basically building it back up again. You have to worry about structural issues. We're on the river. That is different than a brand new, just undeveloped piece of land where you would go in and start from the ground up and you'd make all the right decisions today. I think as a community, we will have to come up, and that's part of the CAP plan, is to talk about the ability not to just look at greenfield sites, but to go back and redo, you know, buildings and really get more than insulation, more effectiveness than we've had. And I think it's going to take quite a bit of effort for us to do that. It's part of our plan, but a lot of work will have to go into that part of it.
Okay, let's take one last question. We're getting just about out of time, so.
There are no more questions.
I was going to say, there are no more questions.
We have touched on most of them.
Okay.
Here's one questioning, I'll just read it. Methane is 25% of greenhouse gases and 30 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Scientists find a 20-year time frame is best for policymaking. Do you support 20-year impact goals to set priorities? I guess that means as opposed to a longer or shorter time frame.
Set priorities not to have gas?
Methane?
I didn't understand that.
Impact goals. So I think it's all of the above.
I'll take a stab at this one. I mean, yes, you know, the stats on the environmental impacts of methane are accurate, and they are really important. You know, the gas distribution system that we have, the way we've tried to approach it and what we're going to continue to do is we have new technology that allows us to pinpoint any leak that occurs in our system. And it used to be if you had a leak, you almost took out, you know, a mile worth of gas distribution system. We can go and find that leak in a very quick period of time, repair it quickly, and then keep our system much more efficient, compact, and reduce the leakage significantly. And so we bought one major, what we call the smart sniffer last year, and we're going to step up and buy more of the smart sniffers and get more methodical about keeping that system more tight. And I think that helps us kind of reduce the impact of the environment very, very quickly. not 20. It won't take us 20 years to get that program implemented.
Smart sniffer.
Smart.
We
I'll
call
show
it
you.
leakage finder, but smart
Ours is
sniffer
cuter.
is
It has a little dog on it.
A little dog.
I'll show you. I'll show you tomorrow.
I have to see a picture. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Thank you so much. What a great discussion. Let's give you a quick round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. I would just like to say thank you again to OCI Solar Power for sponsoring this evening. Thank you. Thank you to Texas Public Radio. They're our media sponsor tonight. Z-Prime, y'all are the best. Thank you. And thank you to City of the Future Conference and all of you for being here tonight. Our next global lecture series, I know they're like, we're out of here tonight. Our next global lecture series is Thursday, May 23rd, so stay tuned for that. The other thing I would do is invite you, if you want to be an EPIcenter insider, and we would encourage you to do so, we have a membership program called the Power Network. And it's the best way to get the latest and greatest news and spend more time with my incredible team and us and ladies like this who are brilliant and fabulous. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you. And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.